Hi there. I love Lodash. It's fast and has a lovely consistent API. In this episode, we're going to look at extending it by coding up a little mixin that sums up objects in an array. Let's have a look at our data we'll be working on. We've got an array with a bunch of sales transactions in it. Each sale has a product and a quantity associated to it. What we want to do is total up the number of sales for each product. We need to ensure that we've got lodash linked. And at the top of our JS file, we require it. Before we go the mixin route, let's sum up the values first. Usually if you want to sum up items in an array, you would use reduce. I'm going to use the lodash reduce function, even though we could have used the native ES5 implementation. Lodash's functions are often more performant than the native implementation, so it's good to use it once you've pulled it in, for both performance and consistency reasons. To reduce, we passed three values. First, the array containing the items we want to add up, a function containing the logic for the reduce operation, and lastly, a starting value for our calculation. In our case, an empty object. If you wanted to add onto an existing calculation, for example a previous period's sale totals, you could have passed that in here. In our reduce logic, if it doesn't exist, we add an attribute onto the result with the current sales product as the key, and set it to 0. We then increment this attribute's value with the current sales quantity attribute. Lastly, we return the result so that the reduce operation can add the next item to it. Let's have a look at the result. Great, it worked. Now that we've got our sum logic down, let's extract it to a function and make it a bit more generic. We put this reduce logic on the clipboard and paste it into a function called sum. This function should return the result. We make this logic generic by adding parameters to our function. First, we need a parameter for the array containing the items we want to total. We also need key and value parameters. Instead of hard-coding the product attribute here, we use the parameter to dynamically get the value we want to group by from the object. We do the same for the value we want to total up. We change our logic to call our generic function, passing in the correct parameters. The sales array, we want totals by product, and the total should contain the quantity of each sale. Great! And now for the long-awaited mixin part, which is simple now that we've refactored our code to use a generic function. To do this, we use the mixin function of lodash. We just want to add the sum function. We change our code at the bottom here to use the mixin, and it works. That's it for this episode. Hopefully you've seen how easy it is to add a useful mixin to lodash. See you next time.